for this cycle, okay, we're very, very close to the halving event. Very, very close, okay? Oops, I was going to show this first. So this is the halving cycle according to a circle. So, you know, the easiest way to look at this is at the top middle is halving, okay? We're getting pretty close, okay? We're getting very, very close, approximately around April of next year. So if you think about it, that's only 6 months, okay, from now. So we're right around there. And after the halving event, you have a lot of pumps, a lot of highs. That always happens every single time. And if you look at the right-hand side in the middle, you'll see that Bitcoin, you know, start at 0.001, then 0.011, 10, 100,000, 10,000. Are we going to be crossing the 100,000 mark this time? My answer is yes, we will be passing the 100,000. And when will we hit an all-time high? Well, if you look at the bottom corner, right, Bitcoin hit an all-time high twice, almost at the same exact time. And then you go a little bit further, bottom left-hand corner, look at the bottoms. Bitcoin has formed bottoms almost exactly at the same time before too, right? So it doesn't mean that we have to mimic previous cycles, but if we're using history, it's on our side, right? It's not exact, but it's very, very close. It's rhyming, as they say, right? So if we're following the previous patterns, that means we're going to hit our halving event. We're going to start going up. We're going to surpass 100,000. Then we're going to hit an all-time high, and eventually we'll get another bottom. Just really, really that simple, right? So this may be the reason why Michael Saylor and so many others, all the big boys, are trying to come out with their spot Bitcoin ETFs. Why do you think they do it now? Because they know the halving event is right around the corner. That's why, right? It's not rocket science. You just have to use history, right? That's basically it. So, of course, that's one of the reasons why I'm thinking. But, of course, there are many other reasons. For example, why would you not want to grab up as many Bitcoin as you can when the long-term holders keep doing so, right? We're at 76%. 76% of the supply is held by long-term holders. And that number will just continue to rise and rise and rise and rise, right? So, again, going back to supply and demand, there's just not that many left out there. So this is definitely a time to be stocking up as much as you can before things get more expensive, right? I made this analogy last week about real estate. There are certain parts of the country, they were pre-developed like 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, and you could have bought all the land you wanted for pennies on the dollar versus what they cost today. Because after they're developed, you just lose that opportunity. You're not going to get that opportunity ever again. It's kind of like Bitcoin. Those of you guys that took advantage of Bitcoin at $4,000, right? People now will never see that again. People that took advantage of Bitcoin at $100, people will never see that again. And when Bitcoin is at $250,000, $500,000, right? The opportunity you're given now to purchase Bitcoin at 15, 20, 25, people will never see that again. Once the opportunity passes by, you're just not going to get it back, right? That's the best way to think about Bitcoin right now. In the future, people will kick themselves for not buying and DCAing around these prices. That's just facts. Facts. All right. So, leading up to the halving event, what can we expect? Well, a lot of traders look at Fibonacci levels, the 61.8%, right? That puts Bitcoin right around $48,000. So if you look at the previous cycle, off from bottom, Bitcoin did the same thing, okay? So are we going to hit $48,000 sometime before the halving event? The answer is yes, of course. To break our previous high, we have to go up. What could cause that to happen? Who knows? Maybe naturally it happens, or maybe we get some spot Bitcoin ETFs approved next month. The next deadline for approval is in October. So if we get approval, yeah, I think Bitcoin could pump up to 48,000 in no time. Maybe it traces a little bit afterwards, but getting a spot Bitcoin ETF approved is going to be monumental, first in Bitcoin's history. That could certainly do it. And then afterwards, what can we expect? Well, after hitting $48,000, what is peak, right? That's anyone's guess. 150, 200, 250,000. Who knows? Who knows? We just don't know where Bitcoin will end this time around because of all the institutions, the billions to trillions sitting on the sidelines that's coming in. Next year is a quadfecta. I've been saying that for a while. I'm calling it a quadfecta because you got so many good things coming up next year. Okay, macro good things like rate cuts, presidential election, and for Bitcoin, you have the halving event and spot Bitcoin ETFs. And there's others that I can't even think about right now. Okay, next year is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And here's the kicker. Usually, it's the year after the halving event that you get the most bullishness, right? So imagine if next year is that bullish already, what Bitcoin and the entire crypto market will be like in 2025. I can't even fathom how good it's going to be, right? Okay, so bottom line is I lost my train of thought, but bottom line is you just want to hodl and DCA, right? That's what a lot of people are doing. Number of addresses holding 1 Bitcoin, of course, another all-time high, 1,022,961 addresses. But what about 10? What about the whales, right? Again, all-time high, 157,629 addresses holding 10 Bitcoin. So those of you guys watching, if you hit 1, of course, what is your goal after that? 2. After that, 3, right? After that, you keep going until you get 10. And then you can get to 50, 100, right? I think it's just really, it comes down to a game of who can accumulate more. That's what Michael Saylor's doing, right? Just buy and hodl. That's it. It's a game of accumulation. Those that accumulate the most wins at the game of wealth, basically. If that's the game you want to play. And most of you guys watching is playing that game. You're here because you want to make life-changing wealth or attain financial freedom, right? And when it comes to those things, it's just a game of accumulation. The more you can accumulate, the better off you'll be. It's really that simple, right? And so many are playing that game right now.